What's going on, YouTube? You're watching On the Fritz. I'm Asa. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I like talking, I like learning, I like politics. If you like those things as well, you are indeed in the right spot. So, popular podcaster, comedian, internet personality Tim Dilllon has kind of exited the Trump train stage left a little bit. I got a couple of videos to show you here. They've been kind of floating around the internet. It's pretty crazy. Where he's kind of freaking out about some of the Trump authoritarian shit that's going on right now, whether it's the crackdown in DC, where Trump has obviously sent military personnel onto the streets of Washington, DC for whatever reason. The same thing goes for the deportation stuff. He's not feeling it, as are most people. I always thought Tim was a pretty funny dude, pretty unique personality, interesting guy. I was kind of bummed at him and the other podcast bros, comedian bros, turn to the right, especially before the election or the months leading up to it, where they were having Trump on and JD Vance and the softball interviews and so on and so forth. Incredibly fucking boring, incredibly fucking annoying. But, that's how it be. So this was kind of par for the course, I guess. Them following Joe Rogan off the cliff to begin with, when Joe Rogan, of course, lost his mind over COVID. We all watched it happen in real time. The same thing goes for when he lost his mind over the woke stuff. Joe went from having pretty decent politics, being kind of a Bernie guy, to a Trump dude in, no time flat. Pretty crazy. But, even Joe Rogan's kind of coming around. Andrew Schulz is coming around a little bit. Tim's coming around to realizing that the shit that's going on right now is unacceptable. It's totally insane. They're all kind of backpedaling on the Trump stuff now, even if, some of them still won't come out and say that they were flat out wrong. They won't admit it. They're still kind of both sidesing and waffling and, the Democrats, they do this and, the Republicans, they do that. And you know what I mean, dude? It's kind of crazy. Both sides really have their, their thing. When obviously it is totally unequal. There is no comparison as to which side is the worst. But either way, it's a net good they're waking up to the insane political landscape that we're in right now. I'm glad they're paying attention finally. So let's watch and see what he says, and then I'll have a few things to say.
They've already got the cops on the street that are not cops or that are the military. They've already got the National Guard on the street. They already have all your information in DC. And now they just get to decide what is and isn't over the line. That should scare everybody. You're fucking nuts, dude. If this doesn't scare you, you're nuts. All of these...
If this isn't scary before the election, you're nuts, in my opinion. But yeah, we'll go on.
Things that Alex Jones, and I've had Alex on, I like Alex, but all these things that Alex Jones was worried about when I listened to him in the late 90s, early 2000s are coming to fruition. And he, I don't know where he is on all of that stuff, but I know he's a big fan of Trump, but this is everything Alex Jones always talked about. Military in the street, the FEMA camp, the tech company that monitors everything, the surveillance. This is all of that. I mean, not to sound like a fucking nut. This is everything a crackhead. And I don't even mean a crackhead like crack, but a guy smoking weed in a room with a fucking black light and a fucking, insane clown posse tattoo on his arm. I'm thinking of a very specific guy I was friends with. But this is everything that guy would have talked about. He'd be like, bro, there's going to be military in the street. They're going to put you in jail for your fucking thoughts, man. If you just say them, bro, you're going to be in fucking jail. There's going to be a fucking company that monitors everything you do, bro. This is literally the wet dream of every conspiracy theorist that has ever lived, and it's happening now.
You don't say. This is why I said it's too little too late. It's exhausting. It's exhausting hearing this. It really, really is. So he talks about Alex Jones. I used to listen to Alex Jones, and this is the stuff that Alex Jones always warned about, et cetera, et cetera. Alex Jones, who, by the way, is still deep-throating Trump every day on his show. Still deep-throating Trump, like gagging on it every day while there's U.S. troops in the street, while Trump is sucking off dictators like Putin, firing the BLS commissioner and changing the job numbers because he doesn't like them, just like changing them right in front of her face because he doesn't like them, sending warships to Venezuela. We're about to do war with Venezuela, apparently, a country he tried to do a soft coup on, by the way, in his first term, tried to overthrow Venezuela. Liberation Day with a cardboard sign of fake tariff numbers that he just made up so he could do a global trade war with every single person, including our closest allies. Never-ending blatant corruption with his shit coin, Melania coin, crypto scamming all of his idiotic followers, quid pro quos with Eric Adams of NYC, masked ICE Gestapo in the streets, rounding up and deporting immigrants to Salvadoran camps, CCOT, Alligator Alcatraz, without due process, by the way. Zero trial, just deporting people. ICE running around deporting people in the streets. No big deal. And then, of course, Trump covering up his, most likely, guilt in the Epstein files where he refuses to release them or even address their existence. Alex? Earth to Alex? Hello? This is your thing, dog. This was always your thing. He still sucks Trump off every single day on his show. If that doesn't tell you what kind of person Alex Jones is, I don't know what does. He is a partisan hack. He has zero integrity. He's completely audience captured. He simply follows the money, and I'm sure he doesn't believe half the shit he says. If he does, he belongs in a schizophrenic ward. But yeah, anyway, I got a little bit more here for you. Let's listen to what else Tim has to say here.
And he likes it. He likes watching the people in his White House rip the skin off each other's faces. And then he just sets all these people on each other. He sets Susie Wiles on Bondi and Patel. He goes, fight it out. Rip each other's spines out. And he sits there and he watches. He likes it. It's fun for him. It's fun for him because it is what he's always kind of done. This is his MO. Trump very much believes that all things are to please the king. He believes that. All things are to please the king. And if he's bored, or if he's covering up an international child sex trafficking scandal, or if he's running cover for Netanyahu and Adelson and Israel and whatever they're doing, it's fun to just divert attention to the king's court and everybody, we're having a duel.
That's crazy, bro. Who would ever have thought that? That's wild that Trump has a personality. I would never fucking understand. That's crazy. I would never have known that even from his first term. Wild, man. Holy shit. By the way, Tim, every single person from the center to the left, from the fake news to almost every single pundit you can think of, they all said this would happen. They all said it. Even idiots like me on the internet, idiots like me in real life, they said it. I said it. You guys ever notice how all the scientists, scholars, economists, intellectuals, etc., are all predominantly anti-Trump? You ever think about that? It's interesting, right? It's not because of propaganda, and it's not because of misunderstanding. They're taking what he said that he would do at face value, using their brains, using what the conservatives like to call common sense and their expertise, and putting it to use to make a value judgment on the person they're voting in as president. Imagine that. I mean, we're talking about a president who is doing lawsuits against colleges and institutions, lawsuits against pollsters, lawsuits against U.S. media for stuff like the cut up Kamala Harris CNN or CNBC or whatever the fuck it was interview. Remember that? The cut up Kamala interview where Fox gladly cut up Trump's interview when he was asked whether or not he would release the Epstein files if elected president. Where, of course, in the interview, he's like, yeah, no, I would. And they just left it at that, put it on the air, whatever. But what he actually said was more along the lines of, yeah, I would. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff in there. There might be a lot of people who could get in trouble, and I'm not really sure, but I probably would, They just happen to cut that part off and then bitched endlessly about the cut-up Kamala Harris interview where apparently she sounded incoherent. Who knows? Do you see anyone on the Democratic side doing anything like this? The lawsuits? Has a president ever sued anyone before? It's totally unprecedented for a president to sue media companies, law firms, etc. It's bonkers. And it's funny, it seems like willful ignorance. They all chose to ignore the obvious, shove their heads in the sand because, woke bad. It's what every single argument I've ever had with a conservative comes down to. Woke bad. Can't even remotely defend the policies, so they have to revert to, I just, the woke stuff, DEI, the woke stuff, you know what I mean? In that same comedy sphere of influence, you had Elon Musk, perennial Joe Rogan experience appearer Elon Musk, double-barreled Nazi salute Elon Musk, who donated hundreds of millions of dollars to get Donald Trump elected, despite knowing his policies. Why? Like he said on stage while he's convulsing on stage in some ketamine-fueled delusion, we just have to, make comedy legal again, make comedy legal again. So we're cool with all that other stuff because we have to make comedy legal again. And for people like Tim, people like Andrew Schulz, people like Joe Rogan, to listen to Elon Musk say this shit, despite what Trump was saying, to hear all of this and still get behind it is fucking wild to me. It's wild to me. At the end of the day, it's always the woke blue hairs and trans people that are the problem. Every single time it's the same shtick. They're always, always, always the problem. Nobody on earth thinks about trans people more than conservatives do. Trans people don't think about trans people more than conservatives do. They must have terabytes and terabytes of trans porn in some database somewhere. That's all they think about. So I said it a million times and I'll say it again. The overly cringe, shitting in litter boxes, woke scold, rad femme types are literally less than 1% of the Democratic Party. These people only exist on Twitter. They do not exist in real life. I know Republicans have a really hard time thinking that that's true, but if you go up to any single Dem voter and you ask them whether they're a blue-haired college kid, a trans person, so on and so forth, how they feel about kids being able to shit in litter boxes in classrooms, they will laugh at you. This is not a real issue. This isn't a real thing people talk about in Democratic circles. I know trans people who scoff about this stuff just as much as the rest of us do. It's not real. Twitter memes are not real life, conservatives. Twitter memes are not real life. There are no people in real life who support shitting in litter boxes in classrooms. It's not a thing. Get a grip. Come on back. Come on back. Come back to reality. This is not real life. What is real is that 80% of the Republican Party still thinks that the last election was stolen from Donald Trump, despite the exact inverse of that being true. With the fake elector scheme, with January 6th, with hang Mike Pence, Dems' concerns are all with the crazy right-wing stuff people are concerned with, the authoritarianism, the dog shit economic policy, the subversion of democracy, and all that stuff is true. All the stuff they're concerned about is a marginal issue that affects absolutely no one, whereas all the stuff that Democrats are concerned about, like I just said, affects everyone. It exists. We can see it right before our very eyes in the Trump administration right fucking now. It's all true. One side believes in fairy tales. The other one is using their eyes, their lying eyes, looking in front of them and seeing exactly what's happening and calling it out. That's why these comedian types have to stop both sidesing it. There's no both sidesing anymore. The scale of concerning actions between the two parties has not just tilted to the right, it has literally smashed through the fucking table. One side of the aisle is for all the evil shit that Tim Dilllon and Joe Rogan and so on and so forth are so concerned with now, and one side isn't. What side of history do you want to be on? Do you want to be on this insane, authoritarian, Hitlerian side, which is clearly evil, clearly bad, clearly wrong, clearly not pro-America, clearly not for the fucking people? And even these guys can see it. Or do you want to be on the good side? It should be an easy answer. What I will say, though, in criticism of my own party, is when I say these people don't exist, what I mean is they don't exist in terms of voting numbers. What I mean is they don't exist in terms of your average Democratic voter. But what I do understand is that when they do exist on the fringes, they exist very loudly. And those loud voices are used as a weapon and amplified by the Republican Party to make our party, my party, the Democratic Party, out to be a bunch of psychotic woke scolds, which we are not. We are the large umbrella party. We are the big tent party. This is who we are. We are the party of the working people. That's what needs to be understood. Even if these people's heart is in the right place, unfortunately, these types of people come with a ton of baggage. And that baggage is often illiberal ideology, which has absolutely no place in modern politics. This ideology does nothing but rebuke people from the Democratic Party, and I think it needs to be made clear by Democratic leadership that these types of ideologies have no place in large part in the Democratic Party and that they are fringe extremists. Either way, we'll see. I'm glad Tim's coming to his senses. I'm glad Joe's coming to his senses. I'm glad Andrew Schulz is having people like, Pete Buttigieg on his podcast instead of fucking JD Vance. These are all good things. It's a good place to start. But man, it is disappointing. If these guys all didn't have their heads up their ass before the election, we may not be dealing with any of this stuff right now. Better late than never, I guess. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and hit that like button for me. Subscribe, hit the alert bell for more videos when they come out. Share the video with your friends, family, foes, whoever. It super, super helps out the channel, especially if they're political people. Life will be good again one day, guys. It will be good. Politics will be good. It will be a little bit less depressing. Just keep getting it out there, fighting the good fight, do the right thing. Have a good day. I'll catch you in the next video.